I'm back in the MG and I'm heading to potentially my favourite place in the entire world. Welcome everyone to the Isle of Arran. It's just off the southwest coast of Scotland, and I've come here because I've been completely burnt out by filming a hell of a lot of videos for DRIVETRIBE all the way up to the end of the year. So I thought I just need to go somewhere, chill out, recharge and flush out all that stress and simply do things that I like doing and nothing else. And this island is the perfect place for it. It's almost like it was custom built for me. So I thought I'd take you guys along, show you my trip and hopefully entice you guys to come here as well. I imagine most of you are massive petrol heads, and this island is honestly a hidden gem for people that love driving. It's not really associated as it. It's not like, you know, the Isle of Man or the NC 500 up north, but I think this place is going to explode with petrol heads soon. Maybe this video will be it, because the roads here are unbelievable. I first came to Arran as a kid, but the last time I was here, I brought a new at the time Honda Civic Type R to attempt something pretty cool. You see, I looked at the map and saw that there is a perfect ring road that traces the outline of the island, and that got me thinking. You could do a lap of the island, which means you can set a lap record. So that's what I did, setting an unofficial record of 1 hour, 12 minutes and 51 seconds. Keeping to speed limits, of course. I set that unofficial record in a brand new at the time Honda Civic Type R, and I remember that thing was hunkered to the ground. In its R+ mode, it just was not going anywhere, and it was the perfect car for these sort of conditions. If you were to come here in something incredibly quick on track, say a GT3 or a McLaren 720S, I think you'd be all over the place. You'd be absolutely crapping yourself that rear wheel drive was going to catch a puddle and send you into the hedgerow. There's not a lot of leeway on these roads. They're incredibly nice roads, but it's bank, hedgerow, you're done. So I think if we were to come back here for a DRIVETRIBE video, it would need to be something front or all-wheel drive. So I'm thinking, well, either a newer Civic Type R, because I enjoyed it so much here, or something like a GR Yaris. Or we go old school, something proper homologation special, like, I don't know, a Delta Integrale or something like that. The MG has just come from the Smallest Cog. You might have seen the video by now, I don't know when it'll be out compared to this, where we fixed most of the problems on it and got the white wheels on it. They look amazing. So it's great to have the car here, but yeah, I'm just cruising about, enjoying the scenery, taking the odd corner a bit quick, because I remember what it was like in the Civic, and then suddenly you feel that rover suspension and you're like, nope. It's not all sunshine and rainbows here though, especially the weather. As you might have just heard there, some of the bits of road surface on this island, you can see it shaking my camera, are pretty rough. And that's another thing that will play into what car, if we were to film a DRIVETRIBE video here, what car you would pick. Because it needs to have good traction, it needs to be accelerative, top speed does not matter in the slightest, but it also needs to have some decent suspension travel or have enough settings that means it can cope with some pretty rutted roads. There's no full-on potholes, but it gets pretty rough, and if you were to hit them at speed, you need to know what you were doing. And then there's the tourism side of it. The NC 500 has become an absolute goldmine for that area of Scotland because of the amount of drivers, the amount of driving clubs and just groups of petrol heads that head up there to experience the roads. So Arran, if it was willing to swallow that brave pill and advertise the place as a driver's haven, it could really capitalise in the exact same way that the Highlands of Scotland have. So, Arran Tourist Board, I think it's Visit Arran the company's called. Let us come here, film an awesome video, make Arran look unbelievable, just like we did with Virginia, and who knows, it could pay off. Arran is known as Scotland in miniature, and the ring road shows why the island gets that nickname. One moment you're in the Highlands, then the Lowlands, then by the sea, then chatting with Scotland's iconic wildlife, all while driving on some of the greatest strips of tarmac you'll ever experience. And this is what I love about this road. You start off in quite dense forest with old 17th century buildings, Broddick Castle, and then out of nowhere, suddenly you realise you're right on the coast. The sea is right there. There's even certain segments where you're so close to the water that it sprays up onto the road. I remember one time hearing it in the Civic and then having to very quickly get the windscreen wipers going because I suddenly got soaked in a huge wave of salt water. And then all of a sudden you're whisked away from the coastline and you're straight into this enormous glen. I think this place is called North Glen Sannox, and this is by far and away the best bit of Arran's road infrastructure. This is one of the greatest driving roads I've ever driven on, if not the greatest. And to show you guys, I'm just going to shut up and let you see out the front. I'm now at the top of that particularly amazing bit of road, and this is sitting here. This is what happens when you have a bit too much fun and it all goes a bit wrong. Ouch. I've found a friend. That bonnet's just been polished, I'll have you know. Thank you. Well, the weather has beaten me sadly. I was planning on playing golf today along with all the driving stuff, but I think instead, I have planned for this, I'm going to do all my inside tasks instead. A bit of reading and a bit of modelling. Lunch first though. How about this for a dinner? Tinned haggis on bread with broccoli. Get a load of that. With my little house becoming nice and cosy, it was time for my first little project, building some Warhammer. And to break up the session, I couldn't help cracking the pipes out. One thing that I wanted to make sure that I did when I came here was to get some exercise. Now my standard exercise is to find a running track and go do some sprinting, but on Arran it's not really big enough for a running track. So bought some hiking boots, bought some hiking gear, and I'm off into what is called the Glen Sannox. And I've been told that there are some old mines around here. There used to be old mineral mines back in the 1800s and First World War. They've now obviously been abandoned and nature's starting to reclaim them. But on top of that, you guys know me well, you'll know that I'm into narrow gauge railways. And there used to be a narrow gauge railway that ran basically from the village back there through to the mine so that they could transport the minerals. So my mission today is to try and find some of the remnants of that narrow gauge railway. I'm just about to plunge into the glen, but already I've found something. This here looks distinctly man-made, some sort of concrete structure with some steel reinforcements. Ah, now, this looks very promising. This could be, has it got wheels? It's hard to tell, so overgrown. That is deep in there. That could be a little carriage for a narrow gauge railway to put some minerals in. Someone who knows a bit more about me, can you recognise certain bits of this that would make it railway worthy? There's also this bit of, I guess, is this cast iron poking out the ground here? That looks distinctly track/railway-y. Who knows? I have no idea. If there are any Arran historians out there, you can help me out. But anyway, first mine found. A grouse has just blasted out that vegetation there, so my heart is absolutely pumping. But as far as I can tell, this looks like some sort of support building for the mine. So the mine isn't actually in down there, that's just collapsed. It's this, I had no idea, but this pool here is, well, you won't be able to see it. It is a plunge pool. This is clearly the mine itself, and it just goes straight down there. God knows how deep, but it's now filled up with rainwater. I would not want to take a swim in there. But yeah, I think this is some sort of mechanical machinery building that will have helped bring the minerals out of there. And then, if that is correct up there, that would then be the railway to then take it out of the glen. I wonder if the locals see this as a bit of a scar, or whether they think this is just a cool bit of history. I'm not sure. I'm at what I guess you could call the mouth of the glen now. What a place. It's so steep up either side. The sound of the water is starting to intensify. I think I've left all the man-made stuff behind, to be honest. There might be a couple more mines up here, but it looks like they're all right at the start of the glen. I'm just gonna head that way and see how far I can go. Another thing that's cool about Glen Sannox is that it is a hotspot for the only venomous snake species in the UK, the adder. There's apparently loads of them here. This isn't the time of year for it. I think they come out in like early spring. That's the best time. See them basking on rocks and stuff. It may sound weird, but I'm into snakes. I have never seen an adder. I would absolutely love to. You know, not a zoo, in the wild and in my home country. I'm pretty sure I have this glen all to myself today. Whoever said being a loner was a bad thing hasn't been to Glen Sannox. Another thing that I'm really into is streams slash rivers. Not the big stuff, just the smaller scale stuff. It sounds like that. And the river coming through Glen Sannox is really, really interesting because right up the top here, it skirts across the rock. Either the water isn't powerful enough or the rock is too hard. I think it's granite up here. And the water just skims across the top. But then if you go further down, it then plunges into the glen. Scotland is amazing. I don't know why. I mean, obviously it's nice to get a bit of sun, but I don't know why, visually, you'd go anywhere else. I mean, yeah, I'm chatting about this river, but let me go wide. Let me go wide. Look at the setting around it. We're right up in this quarry now. And just look at it. Down the glen, and then up there in the clouds is Goat Fell. I've been having such a great time here. I've just been looking at my feet, making sure to place them properly. Before I've known it, I'm halfway up the bloody glen. The ridge is just up there. It's getting super steep now. It's these little steps, which are pretty cool. And that reminds me, the steps bit of river there, I remember seeing on the sign, they're called the Witch's Steps. I'm sure there's a very interesting story there that I wish I could have told you. Maybe I'll do a bit more research once I'm back. But I mean, I'm already halfway up now. I'm feeling the burn, but it feels good. I don't exactly, well, I've got some half decent mountaineering trainers on, but I've not got proper boots. I'll just judge it. I'll keep going until maybe these nice convenient steps stop and see what the view's like. Am I regretting this decision? Not yet, I don't think. We're nearly there. I've had to stop for a break and views on views. Sadly, the mountain has defeated me. I've got way further up the mountain than I thought, but I've now got to this, which is effectively a sheer cliff, and I've not got the footwear for it. I'm by myself and it's a silly thing to do. In other news, I found the gateway to Mordor. The sound quality is great. This could be my new sound booth. Every single time I need to do a bit of voiceover for a DRIVETRIBE video, just come up here. You can't even hear the waterfalls in the distance. It's just me and a lot of millions and millions and millions of year old rock. Okay, now is the bit I find a bit depressing. The descent. I might be getting a tad existential here, but this walk today makes me think, how on earth can a place like this actually exist? You know, of course, there's all the geography reasons as to how this kind of landscape can come together, but the sheer scale of it, the amount of heather there is, all these boulders, it baffles me how, you know, natural happenings can occur and you end up with this. I am not religious in the slightest, so attributing it to some higher power just doesn't cut it with me, really. But it is just incredible. And we think of glens, moors and mountains as fairly static things, but they're actually alive through the water. You can hear it coming out of absolutely everywhere. There's water running down basically the entire glen, channeling its way down these incredibly steep slopes. So everything is constantly moving, constantly making noise. Like right here. You can't really see it. There's some pretty serious water flowing down there. Standing in the middle of a place like this feels very humbling, and I think that's a good thing every once in a while. I think I need to get back inside and warm up. I think the cold's maybe getting to my head. Slightly further on from the first mine, which was over there, we've got a collapsed building just here, which is again that nasty concrete stuff. And then we've got another mine down here. That's a proper shaft deep into the ground there. I imagine all these little fenced off bits are bits of the mine. You can actually see some slag heaps up there and further up there. So yeah, it looks like all the mining was done at this opening to Glen Sannox. In there is very much still natural. I have absolutely no clue what this little building is here, but I imagine it's part of the mine. The only reason I know that a small narrow gauge railway used to exist back there is because wherever I go, I always type in the place name and then narrow gauge railway, just in case one comes up, whether I'm going on holiday or filming in a certain location. So just for a laugh, I thought, well, Arran's my favourite place in the world. I wonder if there ever has been one, just on the off chance. I type it in, boom. Google says, well, Glen Sannox mine. Yep, there used to be one. It's not there anymore. There has been chat about a small highland railway that will connect both ends of the island. Sounds very cool, sounds very touristy, and I would like to be part of it, Arran, so if you're going to do it, hit me up. When you are narrow gauge railway obsessed, the smallest clue can set you off. So I was down near those abandoned buildings, just in those woods there, and I just saw a slightly straight elevated bit of ground, and I thought, oh, I wonder what that is. And then I come across this sort of channel running down the middle, which is definitely man-made. There's definitely stones there, and I think, could this be something? Could that be stones that would be put underneath a track? And then up here is our biggest clue yet. That, I reckon, is a railway sleeper. It's heavily rotted and there's only the end of it left. I reckon the railway went along here and went down into the village up there. So we've got all the mines and buildings up there, and then the railway running down here. And maybe that is the only bit of evidence we're going to get today. Still cool though. Back home, and the first thing that you have to do is get the fire going. So that's my time here on Arran done and dusted. I'm going to head back to the ferry now. I've been staying here. It's called the Little Beach House in Corrie, and it's been fantastic. For anyone that wants to come here, either like me by themselves or as a couple, this place would be absolutely perfect. The hosts have been amazing. The sea is right there, and I've had access to the entire island from here. So I really recommend it. I'll actually put the link to the Airbnb in the description below. Just before the ferry leaves, I've managed to fit in 9 holes of golf, and I think I might have just got my first ever hole in one. The ball has disappeared right beside the pin. It's just over a little brow. Let's check it out. This could be the one. Sadly, it's not to be. It was just a bit of an optical illusion. It basically flew right over the pin. It's quite a cool hole though, over that water onto here. I thought I had it. Par in the end. So after 3 days, my little holiday on Arran is over, and it's done exactly what I wanted it to do. I'm completely chilled out. It's flushed out my mind of all the stresses and strains of London, and I am ready and raring to go for 2022. I've got a lot of, hopefully, awesome ideas to get cracking with DRIVETRIBE next year, and hopefully a lot of them can come to fruition. I would love to get the DRIVETRIBE production team over to Arran at some point next year to put something together, whether that is a lap record, or if you guys can come up with an idea, please do tell me in the comments. If you guys have seen something from this video that you think would work well as a DRIVETRIBE video, definitely put it down below and I'll give it a read. And also, if there's any of you watching this that have a similar personality to me, I hope that this video is showing that it's totally cool to go and basically have a holiday to yourself. I really think some alone time is well worth it and can just recalibrate things. There's also something incredibly liberating about doing all the things that you like doing for as long as you want, when you want, eating what you want, going to bed when you want, with just no other influences. Now, that's no offense to my girlfriend or my family or anything, so if you're up for it and you fancy a little holiday, I can thoroughly recommend Arran, but you know, you do you. I've been Mike, and I'll see you again next time.